this morning. Congressman Joe Heck joins me live on the KDON Live line. Welcome. Nice to have you.
Good morning, Heidi. How you doing?
Good. It was good to see you at the Memorial Day service out of Boulder City. I had to laugh, though. The microphone kept screwing up for Harry Reid. That was worth the price of admission.
Well, it was, certainly was a very nice memorial. I've been going out there for almost 10 years now, and it's probably, the biggest and the most moving, I think, of all the memorials throughout the valley. And I'm just glad they got the microphone fixed by the time I had an opportunity to speak.
I think that was God sending a message to Harry Reid. No, it really is a very good service that they do out there. And I have to not cry when they play taps because it reminds me of my dad. And it's very, very moving. And it's so great to see all the people out there honoring the vets. Yeah,
always a great turnout at the Veterans Cemetery.
Yeah, I think it's real important. Okay, a couple of things. I have to ask you about Wienergate. This is the talk of the Hill, right? Anthony Weiner, and supposedly in his briefs or not in his briefs. What the heck are they saying back there?
Well, there's certainly a lot of discussion going on around here, but he has yet to say whether or not the briefs were or were not his. And that seems to be the question being talked about today. But, we got to try to get back on track and focus on the issues that are most important to Nevadans, and I don't think it's Anthony Weiner shorts.
I don't think it is shorts, except that, look at Christopher Lee. They couldn't wait to run him out of office. So if you're going to run a Republican out, let's run out Anthony Weiner, too.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Not sure if there's going to be an investigation or not about the hacking incident, but we're just trying to focus on getting our debt deficit under control and trying to get the work done for the people back home.
Well, you are, but apparently Anthony Weiner sending pictures of his boxer shorts. So apparently he's not that worried about that. He's worried about another ceiling. Okay, let's talk about the debt ceiling. Now, you guys aren't going to go along with raising the debt ceiling unless there are cuts. Talk to me about that.
Well, we had the up or down vote on Tuesday on the debt ceiling, which is what the president had requested and the Democrats had requested. And, it was a bipartisan vote that basically repudiated the president's economic policies and said, no, we're not raising the debt limit.
Right.
And the fact is, unless there are significant spending cuts, there's not going to be an appetite for raising the debt limit. We can't continue to just run up the credit cards without cutting them up. And, that's the issue that got us here under administrations, both Democratic and Republican, over the past 10 or 15 years. And it just truly threatens the future of our country, our kids and grandkids. And so I know within my class of 87 freshmen, we are united in the fact that there's going to be no debt limit increase unless we get this spending under control.
Now, of course, some people would say that even some conservatives have said to me, if you don't raise the debt ceiling, then our creditors are going to say, oh, they're not good for, in other words, it's similar to credit cards, right? There are a lot of times if you have a Visa card and you stop using it or you cancel it, it hurts your credit more than if you just have it and continue to run it up. You see what I'm talking about? And yeah. I've had people even on the right tell me that if America doesn't allow the debt ceiling to be raised, we don't continue to borrow money, that we'll have trouble with our creditors. Forget about the payments. They'll think that we're not, good credit risks anymore.
Yeah, well, but then what happens is what do people do? They go and they get another credit card, and they use that credit card to pay off the first one. And
right.
Today is going to be an interesting day. Secretary Geithner is actually coming here at the request of the freshman class, and we want to hold his feet to the fire because while this administration, including the secretary, has talked about the doomsday scenario, what is their plan if we don't raise the debt limit? Are they preparing to have a response if we don't raise the debt limit? There is no plan B. They're just going down the street all happy, thinking that we're going to raise the debt limit come August 2nd, regardless. And I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening. And so we want to ask Secretary Geithner, what is your contingency plan? If we don't raise the debt limit, how are you going to function and make sure that you protect the full faith and credit of the United States?
Well, that's what they have to do. They always have to look at two possible scenarios, right, or more. And a lot of times they don't do that. Their only answer is more and more money, and they don't think about a plan B.
Exactly. They're concentrating on the scenario that they hope is going to happen, and that's going to leave us woefully unprepared if things don't turn out the way they hope.
Yeah, well, it sounds like what's going on with our legislature here, and I'm going to get to that later this morning. I want to just real briefly mention something that you may have heard of about that Senator Charles Schumer was talking about Obamacare, and they've all been critical of Congressman Ryan's plans and anything anybody would do to change Obamacare, but he was talking about Medicare on Meet the Press, and he said when you're sick, the doctor gets paid for each service, each prescription, each pill, which that isn't true. You don't get paid for each pill. But he said each test, if you were to tell doctors you get a certain amount of money to treat Jim Smith, say $10,000, every study shows you'd save hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, as a doctor, Congressman, I mean, that's rationing. What else do you call it, right?
Well, that's exactly what they're trying to do in that analogy is make Medicare just like every HMO, where a physician is capitated. You get a certain amount of money to take care of a patient, regardless of how much or how little health care they consume. And the reason why it doesn't work specifically in a Medicare population is because in the Medicare population, you're dealing with the people who consume large amounts of health care. I mean, about 80% of your entire lifetime health care costs are consumed in the last 2 years of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So when you capitate, you say, look, we're going to give you $10,000 a year, and you take care of all these seniors. There's no way that money is going to be enough to take care of the health care needs of seniors. And you're exactly right. It goes right into the Independent Payment Advisory Board that was part of Obamacare, a group of 15 appointed by the president, unelected bureaucrats that are going to decide what services Medicare pays for and how much they pay for them. And that will directly lead to decreased access to health care for seniors. In Obamacare, they cut $500 billion from the Medicare system. They're talking about how they're trying to save Medicare. You can't save it by cutting $500 billion. We're trying to make sure that Medicare is sustainable and viable for future generations by making reasonable changes to people that are more than 10 years out from having to be on that benefit.
Yeah, it's kind of really disheartening. It's not surprising, but it's disheartening to see these ads, pushing grandma over the cliff in her wheelchair, that the Republicans don't care about seniors, don't touch my Medicare, as if it's really going to be there in the same form it is now in 5 or 10 years. There's no way that it's going to be. And the Republicans are trying to just let everybody know and say, hey, listen, here's what's happening. We're telling you the truth. And the left is basically pandering to the folks who don't want to believe it.
Well, you're exactly right. The administration had said that originally Medicare was going to be bankrupt by 2029. Just 2 weeks ago, the trustees of Medicare came out and said, oops, no, it's going to be 2024. So, we're looking at basically 13 years, and Medicare is gone if we don't do anything, and that's going to affect today's seniors.
Right.
Medicare will be gone if we don't do anything, and that will affect today's seniors. We are making sure that current seniors, and those that are close to retiring have the Medicare benefit that's currently in effect, and then put in reasonable changes for those that are 10 years out from being on Medicare so that it's there for them in the future, for their children and grandchildren.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Congressman. Speaking of the Congressman Joe Heck, that's a really good point because people who are, let's say, for example, they're 60 now, in 13 years, they're probably, a lot of them are statistically going to still be alive, and Medicare will be bankrupt. They'll have nothing.
Right, and the answer, there has been no answer from the other side. Their answer was to cut $500 billion from the program.
And they don't understand, too. And my doctors told me half the doctors he knows will stop taking Medicare patients if they continue these cuts. And you've said a lot of people feel the same way.
Yeah, definitely. I've talked to folks, docs that are in that, close to retirement age and say, they're going to expedite their retirement from practice because it's just no longer worthwhile for them they can't even cover their overhead. They're going to stop taking Medicare patients. They're going to start discharging Medicare patients from their practices. This truly is going to have a negative impact if we continue down this path.
Well, I think that's what the GOP's got it, because I haven't heard a whole lot about repealing Obamacare lately, and that's what I want you guys not to lose sight of. You can't take your eye off that ball, because that's super important to all of us.
Well, we passed the repeal bill in the House. One of the first bills that we passed was the repeal bill. And since that time, we have worked at whittling away at other provisions. We got rid of the 1099 provision. We started to defund various portions of the health care bill, and we continue to work on it. Just about every week there's another bill that's up to try to slow down and halt the forward movement of this health care reform until we can get rid of it once and for all. Yes,
and of course we can always hope that this will, when the Supreme Court finally looks at this, and we know it's going to be a while, but when they look at it, they'll decide it's unconstitutional. That's what we're all hoping for.
Yeah, certainly make it easier if the Supreme Court rules that the individual mandate is unconstitutional.
I hope so. Congressman Joe Heck, as always, thanks for holding the line back there. We'll stay in touch and talk to you next week about what's going on back there.
Great. Thanks, Heidi.
Have
a great day.
Appreciate it. You too. Yeah, what a